Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is for Haley 2024 The Movement's Government Reform Ideas. Now, this video is going to be on 5 different sectors. Here are the 5 sectors we're going to deal with right now. But it's dealing with food, manufacturing, environmental sector, work, safety, and disability, and then media and communication. So, what we're doing is creating a new constitution for the United States of America. It replaces the state constitution and actually creates local constitutions. This is a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution using the Article 5 technique to amend the Constitution, but it's going to amend it in a way that's going to totally replace it. So we're going to go with a lot more liberty, a lot more of accountability, a lot more limited government, but also more accountability for the representatives that we currently have now. We're going to go to a more competitive governance. So let's go through the system real quick. I usually do one sector at a time. But these sectors don't have individually a lot of clauses within it, but you have to know the CRA structure. So each one is super important still, but doesn't have a lot of extra clauses individually within the sector. So I grouped these 5 together, and we're going to do these 5 together. For example, I'm doing education or police. I did military. I did the commander-in-chief. I did charities. I did long videos. And sometimes several videos per sector. This one only needs a sector. This one only needs a short amount per sector because the main thing is the CRA structure in these. So they're super important still, but this is the structure more of it. So the big part of the reform here is separate all government power into 30 sectors. No one person will be in charge of more than one sector. So if you're in the legislative branch, the executive branch, or judicial branch, you have to pick your sector. You run for office in the financial sector, or the human resources sector, or the diplomat sector, or the charity sector, or the family law sector. We go over all 30 in a minute. These are top-level elected leaders. A lot of times selected leaders will get into selected on the next frame. But look at the 30 here. We're going to go over all 30 in a second. And then we'll touch on the 5 that we're dealing with today. Now, this is a more important slide. Within each sector and at every level of government, you're going to have 12 distinct CRAs per sector. These are competitive governance. This government is full governments, executive, legislative, and judicial powers. Highly important to understand. Then we do have a monopolized sector board level that takes care of, let's say, all of education or all of the environment or all of the manufacturing or what give you. So now it only goes up to the sector board level, monopolized sector board level, when it creates a significant negative externalities, and we need to do it at a monopolized level. Otherwise, it stays down at the CRA level. The rating system is going to be interesting in this manner too, because it's going to give high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. I'm going to come back and touch on the rating system a lot, but it's also going to be able to create rating floors where standards cannot go so low as to create significant negative externalities. So it's really important to understand I use the word significant because everybody in a society has to accept some externalities, negative externalities, just to be in society and to have liberty with everybody else. So we have to have tolerate some externalities, some negative externalities, and get the benefits of positive externalities. And the rating system is going to help us do that anyway. It's going to help us get the benefits of the positive and feel the pain of a negative externality. The people given the negative externality, the polluter or whatever, given a negative externality, they're going to feel the pain with the rating, where people can visualize the rating and see it on every point of purchase that they do, in every store they go into, and the whole 9 yards. But when it creates a significant negative externalities, the rating floor will put a stop to it altogether. Now, let's keep on going because you don't know what we're dealing with right now. But those 2 reforms of splitting it in 30 sectors, and then within each sector, at the city level, state level, federal level. Now, some sectors will have more at the federal level. The fire and the foreign protection system, for example. That's more federal. Everything else will be more state, and some will be significantly into the local. And we deal with a lot of that. So let's continue going. Okay, the Constitution has a really great preamble. Section 1, dealing with citizenship. Section 2, just general laws within the Constitution. Bylaws deal with internal governance within any of the governmental bodies here. Federal, state, and local, how we deal with that. Original authority teaches on the original authority to have laws in the first place and what level of government, federal, state, or local, has top level authority, and then what level of the CRA structure has top level authority. We have both different things, and it's highly important to understand that. So that's new teaching to almost everybody. If you don't know what original authority is, what the CRA structure is, how we deal with all the different things. Right now, we're not in the best place with federal, state, and local. The federal government has bought the rights from the states. The federal government has taxed the people of the state to buy the state's rights away from them. And we're not going to be able to do that anymore under this structure. Supermajority, if it's at the sector board level, you have to understand that you need a 70% vote to get there and have regulations under the monopolized sector board level. Now, anything that is regulated under the sector board level, it has to be governed and executed through the CRAs. So there's a lot of buffer for bad regulations, but it's not going to happen too often when we need 70%, and it being declared by the Judicial Department to be a significant negative externality. So there's a lot to this. The parent sector board is going to define the differences between the 30 sectors. Highly important role, but they don't have regulatory authority. CRA sector boards, they're going to be in charge of each sector, but they're going to not have the control. The CRAs will have control to a very large degree unless there's significant negative externalities and it is properly given to the sector board, and have a lot of clauses in there that make it hard to get to that monopolized sector board. But some things need to be there, especially in the oversight role. The oversight roles have original authority at the sector board monopolized level. That gives authority. They authorize anybody with inherent government power, the police power type of thing, to do what they're doing. So they authorize them with a 70% vote. So it's very hard to have police powers. We need police powers, and they have to ensure that there is enough police out there. But there's a system for that. Everything that we're doing here is to make the CRAs work better. That's 90% of this whole Constitution is the CRAs, the competitive regulatory agencies, the competitive governance. Now, we have to, I say 90% because everything else is there to support the CRAs. They're there to support it. The rating system's definitely there to support it. The sector boards are there to support the CRAs. The parent sector board is there to support the CRAs. Everything's there to support the CRAs. That's the base of this, competitive governance. The rating system, high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. These are full governmental systems too. Roughly 12 rating agencies making up a rating system, and it has high level of authority to stop significant negative externalities and to rate. And that rating alone is going to give positives for the positive externalities and kind of inhibit negative externalities. People who are rated low, people don't want to go to them. Hey, they're polluters. Why buy from them when this other person is doing it so much better, so much cleaner? Okay, taxation is dealing with how do we fund everything that we're going to do? Mostly CRA fees. You pick the CRA, you select your CRA, and they have a fee. And there's fees throughout, but you have to understand the whole system there. And then the debt, how we transition from the current system with a tremendous amount of debt, but tremendous amount of assets as well. How do we transition? And we're pretty much selling off everything that the government currently owns. We're selling into the free enterprise system where CRAs can buy it, but then they take on the debt to buy it, unless they have the money to do it already, which they don't originally come with funds. So they're going to be taking on debt if they choose to take on the debt. Otherwise, it goes into the free enterprise system. Now, CRAs can do things on their own within their responsibilities, or they can just lightly regulate the private sector businesses underneath them. But they're kind of like almost a private sector business because they only govern their members that chose them. Anyway, pockets of freedom. There are Immigration and foreign policy position, look at those videos, look at that page on my website. States partial acceptance per sector, that's going to be highly important to try to get this Constitution passed. That's why that's there. Separation of responsibilities and authorities, this is a very important part of it. Let's go over all 30 sectors, and we'll touch on the 5 that we're dealing with now. But we're already 10 minutes into this, but you have to understand the CRA structure and why it's so important. And we're going to keep on going over that as we touch on each of the sectors. 5 in the charity system, we get rid of government welfare altogether. We go to a charity system. There's a funding source where everybody's required to give roughly 5% of their income to the charity of their choice. And not exactly the charity of their choice, but there's a system for the funding mechanism. The foreign protection system, we separate all these powers so we have a lot more accountability. That military capability system is going to be a free enterprise a way of funding the military, and they're going to be in free market businesses, and that's going to be interesting to do. And then the top commander-in-chief is different than the top diplomat, and that's going to be special. Violent crime mitigation system, everything going free enterprise here. I did videos on all these, how we have a lot better accountability than the current system with law enforcement authorization. We have a lot better representation because everybody's, when they run for office, they are running for the office within their sector. So they're probably going to have the knowledge of law enforcement. How many people, they might know economics and they don't know how court procedures. They might know welfare, but they don't know how to do law enforcement. They might be a great diplomat, but they don't know how to do prisons and corrections. When we separate all these sectors into 30 sectors, you're going to have experts in their field, people with experience and knowledge and have lifelong success in a field, get elected or selected more likely to handle those sectors and those responsibilities. So that's an important part of representation. Now, healthcare is split into 2 sectors. I did videos on that. Financial and the banking, 2 different sectors. It's very important how you understand my monetary policy. Not so much for the 5 sectors we're going into now, but very interesting monetary policy. We just did the insurance video, so that's going to be out there soon. This is mid-July right now of 2021. Now, here are some of the sectors that are the part of the 5 that we're going to do today. On this video, food is definitely one. Education is going to get its own video. Manufacturing, we're going to do food and manufacturing on this one. Human resources and sales has a lot to it, so I'm going to do that as a separate video. Identity, that's going to be a really special video. Really put a lot of good responsibilities in for that. A lot of services that can be done in the free enterprise system for identity that's really not being done by government, and that's going to be important. Environmental is part of the 5 that I'm dealing with right here. Work safety and disability is another one of the 5. Transportation, all road systems going to go free enterprise, so that's going to get its own video. Media and communications, the one we're doing now. Land and water, that's a pretty interesting sector, but I'm going to have to do a separate video for that. So the 5 sectors, we're going to go over the 5 sectors again in a second, and we're going to just talk about it a little bit more. But competitive regulatory agencies, it's important that you understand that these are full governmental systems. Each CRA is a governmental system. Each sector board is a governmental system. We have enough executive, legislative, and judicial bodies. We're going to be able to take care of everything. And it's at the city, state, and federal level. And again, some things are more going to be at the federal level, like foreign protection system. Some more at the state level. A lot of it at the state level. But there are definitely some things that are going to be, especially land and water, that's going to be more at the local level. So let's continue going. It's always important to come back to this. This is why I put this slide here. You pick your food CRA. You pick your environmental CRA. You pick your media and communications CRA. And I'll go over the other 2 in a minute. Let's continue going. And you pick your rating system. You pick with like-minded people. Then the membership picks the leadership and representatives coming out of your CRA. So you have your CRA, you have your membership body. They're going to be like-minded people. So like-minded people are going to not have so much disagreement on who the leadership's going to be. Some, but a lot different than the Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals. Liberals will have a CRA, conservatives will have a CRA, and each one of those will be split up significantly more. When you have roughly 12 different CRAs, you're going to have like-minded people per CRA. Okay, so these are not done geographically. Well, everybody in the city will pick their CRA. There'll be a CRAs for the city, everybody CRAs for the state, CRAs for the federal government. But you're not a geographic area to create a CRA. It's within your city, within your state, or within the federal government. You have roughly 12 to select from. Okay, Sector 21, food. Food and sector is established. Established in the sector means you get roughly 12 CRAs. 5% minimum citizens belonging to a CRA to gain that governmental authority, and not over 20%. So if 20% of between 5 and 20% of the people say, I want the CRA to govern me, then that creates a situation where that CRA is now a governmental body, only governing their members. And that CRA can send representatives up to the sector board level for representation purposes at the monopolized sector board level. The purpose of the food sector is to regulate food. So this is not FDA, this is not drug. This is not proven drugs. This is strictly food. Now, where they draw that line, I'm not exactly sure, but the healthcare medicine is going to be for drugs and pharmaceuticals and the like. So the FDA is going to have to be split between the food side and the drug side. So where the exact lines is, I'm not exactly sure, but it seems pretty reasonable. We're going to be able to come up with that lines, and the parent sector board is the body responsible for that. Sector 23, manufacturing. Now this is going to be a big one, big financial, big dollar amount one, but it's not going to be a lot of responsibilities per sector. How do you make a toaster? What regulations do you need to have not to create a fire situation with a toaster, or a TV not to explode, or an automobile not to be safe enough? The rating system is going to be important on this. So you have a rating floor, so you're not creating too big of a negative externality. We don't want a car going down the road, falling apart, creating a situation where a big part flies off into the next car behind them, creating a significant negative externality. Therefore, there'll be rating floors dealing with that. And there's so much to get into on this, but there's no really other there's nothing more than the CRA structure that this one needs to have said about it. Every manufacturing plant picks their CRA. Now, if your CRA has low ratings, and that store, let's say the Walmarts or the Sears or whatever store is out there, they're going to want a higher ratings. There will be a rating on their front door. And if Walmart has a rating of, let's say, 60, which is kind of in the middle, and somebody else has a rating of 70, which is a lot better, and somebody else has a rating of 50, well, people are going to want to go to that 70. Now, it's going to cost more money, most likely. The 50 is going to cost a little bit lower money, but you're going to pay for having lower standards. It's going to have a nice balance between higher end and lower end, but the lower end does have a low side, a rating floor, where it cannot go below. Again, things falling apart, becoming dangerous. Things falling and manufacturing problems where it explodes or something and people get injured. It has to do what it's supposed to do. You can't. The rating system and the rating agencies, they're going to be the anti-fraud anyway. Integrity is going to be important. You have to state what your standards are, and you have to live by those. And you have to be honest about that. And the rating system can stop a lot of fraud or lower integrity. It has a lot of methods to do that. It has that authority to do it. Partly by informing, but partly by going up to the rating system and going and setting the rating floor. And the rating system does have a court system specifically for lower integrity, fraud, and the like. Okay, the purpose of the manufacturing sector is to regulate manufacturing and service work. So it's going to be a lot of what people do, and they're going to need that regulation there. Okay, Sector 26, environment. This is a pretty interesting one, but there's not a lot of clauses with underneath this. It's the CRA structure that's within this. So that's highly important to know. So the environmental sector is established. Now everybody's going to be regulated on environmental issues. You cannot just pollute up in the air, downriver. You cannot do a lot of different things. It's a lot more than just pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. It's a lot in there. And everybody in every business has to be regulated. If a business manufacturing whatever is doing a lot of polluting, they're going to probably have pretty low ratings. If they end a lot of pollution and they put a lot of money into not polluting, and actually it has a good effect of not polluting, then you're going to have better ratings. Now, normally that's just a unrealized positive externality or unrealized negative externality. But what this rating system does is, at the point of purchase, when you purchase that item in the grocery store or the department store, whatever you buy, it will have an environmental rating score on it. Or it might be incorporated in the overall ratings. I'm not sure exactly how the rating is going to be done. It has to be done in a legitimate way that you understand who's creating negative and who's creating positive externalities. To be apps on your phone in in a lot of different ways, but right on the point of purchase, it might just say you have a 30 on the environmental, and that's right there at the rating floor. Let's say the rating floor is at 30, you can't go below it, but this is a 30. Nobody wants to buy that item because they know they're not doing anything to help the environment. They're doing the bare minimum, and they're putting a lot more pollution in than they should. So just that alone, by the consumer knowing that they're not doing the best of job of protecting against pollution, that's going to put a price on their product in a negative way by consumers not buying it. Now again, if you go from 70, if you have to pay you have to pay the double from going from a 70 to a 72. A rating of 70 to 72. You only get a little bit of benefit out of it, but you double your cost of your item. Most likely people are going to say 70 is really good, 72 is only a little bit better. I'm not going to double my cost just to do that. So there's going to be a limit on whether somebody's going to pay a little bit more for a better ratings. There's going to be an effect, but there's going to be a limit to it as well. So obviously people want people to be clean, but if you have to use all your grocery bills on one head of lettuce that's done extremely environmentally safe, and then that's all you get to eat for the week, well, that's not so good either. So let's continue going, but I just want to let you know that the rating system is going to be so incredibly important on this. There's a lot more than just the head of lettuce. That's a silly one a little bit, but that's still important. But when you build a big building or build a factory, that's when it becomes really important. You add another scrubber or another filter, and you create a situation where it's a lot better, then your ratings go up a lot better. But business owners are going to know that it's not just going to be advertising that you're doing better environmentally. The rating systems, who have the experts of knowing whether you did better or not, they're going to put that information out there. Again, high quality information from a wide variety of perspectives. It's not a monopolized rating system. No. There's 12 different rating agencies looking at things differently. One's going to say, hey, you barely made an improvement, but your advertisement is saying that you made a huge improvement. But look, I'm only going to give you a 60 versus a 62, where everybody else is. I don't think that you improved it that much. You're doing something cosmetic, and you're really not improving too much. Anyway, a lot to that. I can go for hours on this subject alone. I thought a lot about it, how the rating system's going to really put a price on negative externality, really put a positive price on positive externalities, and let the system be a lot more environmentally sound. Okay, the purpose of the environmental sector is to protect the natural environment. And okay, let's go with work and safety. Oh, the natural environment, that's different than land and water. They have different responsibilities. I know they're going to overlap a little bit, but we have a land and water sector, They're going to deal with a little bit different type of things, such as noise ordinances and building codes and the like. We'll get into that on that video. Work safety and disability. So that's different than some of the other ones. But this is one that's going to be a little bit of a catch-all. If you don't see the sector in there, or if you don't see a regulatory body within 1 of my 30, and it's like, I don't know where it's going to go, it's probably going to go into this one. This is going to be a little bit of a catch-all where things that are out off to the side doesn't really fall into any of the sectors very well. It might fall into, it probably just be put into this, and this will be a little bit of a catch-all. But we don't want 100 different sectors, for each one little regulatory body. There's a limit on too many sectors and too little sectors. And I think 30, I developed 30 as a good balance. Okay, the sector is established, which means you get 12 CRAs, 12 RAs. And again, 5%, 20%. Okay, the purpose of the work safety and disability sector is to regulate work areas. So that's OSHA right now. Occupational safety, health. I don't know the rest of it. Anyway, OSHA. That's basically what that is. And then People with Disabilities Act. Now, again, it's going to be more than that. It's going to incorporate some other stuff that might not even be related to this, that just needs a home. This will be a little bit of a catch-all. And with 12 different ideas, 12 different CRAs, they're going to go into a like-minded grouping. Okay. Section 29, media and communication. Again, we don't regulate it because we have the freedom of speech, freedom of press. That's still in here. I have that in here. You'll see that clause in a second. But you still need regulations dealing with that. We still have the FDA, not FDA, I forget what it is, dealing with media and communication, the media and stuff. It's not FDA because FDA is Food and Drug Administration. I'm forgetting it as we speak right now, but FAA, or is that planes? I'm sorry. I'm going to stop saying three-letter words or three-letter acronyms. Okay, let's keep on going. But the ones that regulate television and radio and all that stuff. So we have bodies out there that regulate media and communication, even though we have freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the like. The media and communication sector is established. Again, that means it's getting the 12 sectors. The purpose of the 12 CRAs and the 12 rating agencies. The purpose of the media and communication sector is to regulate media and communication. And again, this is going to be a little bit of a catch-all one too. You can go into the work safety one, or it can go into this one. Now, it might make more sense to go into the police or charities. That might make more sense to go into manufacturing. We'll have to see. But if it doesn't have a good home in the other ones, this might be a catch-all as well. Freedom of speech and the freedom of the press must not be infringed. It is a civil liberty. Go look back at my civil liberty page. I think it's within my judicial sector, and I have about 3 or 4 videos just for my courts and a judicial sector, and that is a big one. Civil liberties still have to be respected, but we don't have monopolized governance. So you can pick a CRA that doesn't allow you to do some things that currently the First Amendment allows you to do it. We'll pick a different CRA. There will be a CRA that will allow you to do everything that you want to say. At least, and there's limitations, slander and the whole 9 yards. You can't slander, you can't do some financial fraud by stating that there's a scandal when there's not a scandal in one of the businesses, and then sell short and let it drop and make a lot of money. There's financial rules that will be in place for that. Anyway, let's keep on going. Pretty much we're done. Here's the 30 sectors again. I just want to identify 5 sectors that really don't have additional clauses in it, where almost all the other ones have 4 or 5, if not 10 or 12 separate clauses per sector. And so these sectors are mainly just the CRA structure. You still have that competitive regulatory agency nature of it. And most of this will not go to the sector board level. Very, very small amount will go to the sector board level. There's no significant externality in almost any of this. Rating floors will come into place, Rating floors will come into place, but it has to be declared a significant negative externality, and then a rating floor can be put into place. So, especially, and that will be especially for the environmental. We were talking about environmental, and obviously, pollution is a negative externality, and once it goes past the threshold of significant, we have a representative body within the judicial sector that determines whether it's significant negative externalities. So, but there are some limitations on what they can do. It has to be a negative externality. Anyway, let's continue going. You see all 15 sectors right there, and 15 more sectors right there. And okay, this is not a clause. If a category is not listed, it will fall into one of these sectors. The media and communication sector or the work safety sector will be catch-all sectors. Kind of said it all. And I'm just going to go to the end. Okay. This is the middle of July 2021 right now. I just hired my first person to start doing some social media. Not too many hours per week, but a little bit. And they're just started, so I need to start collecting some money to pay that one person to do some social media, editing, and the like. Plus, eventually, I would love to get to do this full-time myself, which I need to at least do maybe 75-80% of my current income as a salesman to go out and do this full-time. I want to go out and speak about it. I want to do some traveling. I want to really push it out there in social media, be interviewed by radio shows, podcasts, and the like. So I do need some money coming in now. I've been doing this since 2013, officially since about 2016, I think it was, with 501c3. So I do have my 501c3. So you can donate tax exempt, or you can deduct your donations to Haley 2024, the movement. Anyway, so please consider a donation, and until the next video.